Thank you, Tampa. This is a great turnout, and I thank you all for being here to make history and to make certain that the state of Florida is going to move in a very different direction, a progressive direction. And that we are going to elect this man as the next governor of this state. Now, I've got a radical idea, and that idea is that in Florida and throughout this country, we need a government that represents all of us, not the 1%. And that unlike the Trump administration, we need a government that brings us all together. Black and white and Latino, men and women, gay and straight. We are not going to let Trump and his friends divide us up. Because when we stand together protecting the rights of working people, nothing is going to stop us. Now, nationally and here in Florida, the establishment, the big money interests have had their time. Now it is our time, progressive time. And we are here at an unprecedented moment in American history and in the state of Florida. And we need a governor here who doesn't need a scientist to tell him that climate change is real. Who understands that today climate change is wreaking havoc, not only in Florida or in Vermont, but all over this country and all over this world. And let me be bold in telling you that there is no state in this country that can do more in leading the transformation of energy than the state of Florida.
That's right.
You know, there is a reason why this state is called the Sunshine State. Maybe your governor doesn't know that, but when you call a state the Sunshine State, it's because there is a lot of sunshine.
Right.
And maybe instead of being dependent on fossil fuels and paying sky-high electric rates, maybe you should transform the energy system here under Andrew. And lead the country, not lag, lead the country in the fight against climate change. We need a governor here in Florida who understands that the time is long overdue for comprehensive immigration reform. And who understands that the people of Puerto Rico deserve to be treated with the respect and dignity that they deserve as American citizens. And being here in Florida today, I want to say a special word of thanks to the young people in Parkland. And I had the opportunity to meet some of them in Washington. I know that Andrew has worked with them here in this state. And I have a hard time talking about that issue because it is so horrific, it's so unspeakable. But to understand that these kids went through what they went through, and instead of withdrawing, instead of becoming mournful and depressed, they stood up and they fought back, not only in this state, but all across this country. And they spoke out not only for common sense, gun safety legislation, but they also told the young people of America that the young people are the future of this country. You cannot sit back and complain and moan and groan. You gotta get involved in the political process. You gotta work with Andrew to transform this state. Andrew comes from a working class family, and I come from a working class family, and most of you come from working class families. And what we are saying as loudly and as clearly as we can, that in the richest country in the history of the world, if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty. Now, I've introduced the bill in Washington. I think we've got 30 co-sponsors in the Senate, more in the House, to say that we're going to end this absurdity of having a $7.25 federal minimum wage and $8.25 minimum wage here in Florida. We need a minimum wage, which is a living wage, $15 an hour. And I see the nurses here today. And I thank the nurses for not only being the backbone of our healthcare system, but in helping to lead this country to end the international disgrace of the United States being the only major country on earth not to guarantee healthcare to all people as a right. How insane is it that we have 30 million people nationally without any health insurance? Many of you are underinsured with high deductibles, high copayments. You pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We spend almost twice as much per capita on health care as any other country. Andrew and I are going to help lead this country toward a Medicare for all single-payer program.
That's right. That's right.
And Andrew understands that instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations, we're going to invest in our children. We're going to invest in public education. And we're going to make the teaching profession the honored profession, the important profession that it deserves to be.
That's right.
And Andrew and I understand that democracy means one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections. And that is why we're going to work together to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. And we are going to end voter suppression all over this country. I have run for office in Vermont. Sometimes I've lost, and sometimes I've won. Actually, most of the time I've won. But it has never occurred to me, never, to say, oh, what can I do to prevent people from voting because they might vote against me? So I say to those governors and attorney generals all over this country, stop your cowardice, face the electorate, let people vote. And when we talk about letting people vote, we know that Florida is leading this country in exactly the wrong direction by denying 1.5 million people the right to vote, even though they served their time. So, brothers and sisters, we are at a pivotal moment in American history. And we can go as a nation in one of two directions. Either we can move in an authoritarian direction, led by a president representing the billionaire class, who wants to divide us up based on the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation. Or what we can do is do what the American people want, and that is create a government, create an economy that works for all of us, not just wealthy campaign contributors. And what I want to tell you is that all over this country, there is health care for all, like criminal justice reform, like immigration reform, like demanding that the wealthiest people in this country start paying their fair share of taxes. Like making sure that it is women who control their bodies, not the government. over this country, people are standing up and they are fighting back. They are fighting for economic justice, social justice, racial justice, environmental justice. So what we have here in Florida is the opportunity not only to transform this state politically by electing a strong progressive, but you have an opportunity to send a message that will be heard all over this country. Now, Andrew can win this fight. He can win it. He may not have the money, but he has the people. And our job, your job in the next couple of weeks is to make sure that those people come out to vote. Now, I'm told that we have about 1,000 people in this room, and that's a great turnout. And that's 1,000 votes for Andrew, but each and every one of you in the next couple of weeks can get 3 or 4 of your friends or family members to come out to vote as well. So that 1,000 votes becomes 4,000 votes. So let me just conclude by thanking all of you for being here, thanking Andrew for running a great campaign. Let's go on and win this thing.
Thank you, Senator. Let's do this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you, Senator. Love that, man. Thank you.